Hello and welcome to the post-Valentine's Day Sports Talk in the Burgh. I'd be worried about these guys staying up late last night, but I know they were all staying in. I'm your host, Zach Jones, and joining me soon is a table full of freshmen, including Plum baseball superstar Cam Wickline, Plum baseball super fan Nate Fennell, and underground rapper Sam Fisher. Let's jump right into it. You see the big game? This past weekend, the Chiefs defeated the Eagles in an all-time game, combining for 73 points, good enough for the third most total points in Super Bowl history. However, the game was not without a little bit of controversy, as James Bradbury was called for pass interference on a crucial third down with under 2 minutes remaining. Cam, was the right call made?
Pretty simply, no. I really don't think that was the right call, but the reception that it's gotten has been a little outrageous to me. I don't think it was the right call. I don't know if you can make that call in that scenario. But everyone's complaining, saying it cost them the game. You want to know what cost them the game? Jalen Hurts getting strip sacked by a ghost, okay? Like, that's actually what cost them the game. That doesn't happen. It doesn't matter as much. It's just that simple.
Yeah, I do think that it was the right call because Bradbury was quoted saying, "It was a holding. I tugged his jersey. I was hoping they would let it slide." But just because it was a game-changing call doesn't make it a bad call.
So I would have to say no. It was not the right call. First off, he never actually restricted the runner from running his route. And he never turned him. He never grabbed, a fistful of jersey and pulled him back. I mean, that's just what I saw in the film. So also, I would have to say that the ball was uncatchable as well. So, can you really make this call?
It's not a pass interference. It was a holding, so they called it before the pass. But still, right, you usually do see like a fistful of jersey or something. You just didn't see that. I don't think.
Neither of you see the side angle picture. He had a fistful of his jersey.
I don't think it was the right call. I don't think time of game matters. I just don't think it was the right call at all. I don't think he held him.
Goodell should have had these guys officiating. Now, Patrick Mahomes is once again Super Bowl champion and MVP and Super Bowl MVP. The guy has too many accolades to count, and it's just his 5th year as full-time starter. Many believe he's on the right track to catch Brady as GOAT, and many more believe the 27-year-old has already played his way into the Hall of Fame. Sam, if Mahomes retired tomorrow, would you give him a gold jacket?
Yes. Actually, I would give him a Hall of Fame vote. And actually, I would have to say that as far as the whole Tom Brady thing, do I believe that he can catch up to Tom Brady? Well, yeah. He's on that projection. However, if it's, is Mahomes better than the GOAT, kind of talk? No, not at all. And so I would have to say yes. He's just got way too many accolades. He's way too successful. He's got multiple MVPs, Super Bowl wins, Super Bowl MVPs, Pro Bowl selections, All-Pro selections, and he's put up Star Wars numbers basically during his seasons.
I don't even think this is a question. I think he's a no-doubt Hall of Famer if he retired tomorrow. I get he's only played 5 years, but his first 5 years in the league are better than the best 5 years of almost anybody else in NFL history. And that's including people with gold jackets. I don't know how you couldn't put him in if he retired tomorrow.
I agree with what both of you said, but for me, I don't think he's just there yet. I think he needs to play a couple more seasons, have the career stats filled out. He has the accolades, for sure, but when you look at other Hall of Famers, their career stats are just far higher than his. If he can just play a couple more average seasons, he's no doubt Hall of Famer.
Sticking with the NFL and the Super Bowl, the field at State Farm Stadium saw players slipping and sliding all over like they were playing on a bunch of banana peels. Eagles star Hassan Reddick had some words to say about the field, saying, quote, "I'm not going to lie, it was the worst field I've ever played on. It was very disappointing. It's the NFL. You would think it would be better so we could get better play, but it is what it is. Maybe the league will look at it and tell Arizona they got to step their stuff up," end quote. Nate, do you think Reddick's being a sore loser, or was that field a serious problem?
Well, for me, in a word, it was awful. It was $800,000, and it was rolled outside every day for sun treatment. But at the end of the day, it was the worst field we've ever seen these players play on. And they used it at the biggest stage possible. If you want to try new things, go ahead. Use it during the preseason.
See, everyone wants to act like this was crazy. How did this happen? I could have told you this was going to happen before the game even started, dog. I'm a Michigan fan,
right.
Michigan football fan. This is where the Fiesta Bowl was played against TCU. horrible playing surface. I knew it was going to happen again. It's just absolutely embarrassing. How does it happen? It was awful in that game, and then how do they just not change anything and expect something to change? Like, it was just horrible. George Toma, he's known as the sod father. He's worked on the grounds crew of every single Super Bowl since the very first one. He's 94. He needs to retire because what he's doing isn't working.
Okay, so I would have to say I do agree that the playing field was awful. However, I have to give the players a bunch of credit because this was, in my opinion, one of the best Super Bowls that I've ever watched, maybe up until the holding call at the end. But, you know, hats off to them because they definitely put on a show, even though the field was terrible. And maybe that is something that they will have to fix going forward.
Yeah, I don't know if Hassan Reddick was being a sore loser because, I mean, both teams had to deal with it. I just think it was a super unfortunate situation because you saw it coming. It's just embarrassing for a multi-billion-dollar league to let their biggest stage look like this.
You heard it here first. Cam wants to whack the sod father. This year's NBA trade deadline was one for the history books, seeing an insane amount of players and second-round picks being dealt like it was 2K. From stars like KD, Kyrie, and D'Lo to role players like Jay Crowder and James Wiseman, everyone was moving teams. But someone had to have won, right? Cam, who do you think that is?
I mean, for my money, it was the Suns. I think they didn't make a ton of moves, gave up 4 first-rounders, which that's so much. And believe me, I understand that. KD's one of the greatest players of all time. Getting KD, I don't care who's on the rest of your team, it makes you a title contender. Not to mention they were already a pretty good team. It's the Suns.
Yeah, so I actually do agree. I would have to say that the Suns are actually probably, number one for me for the title contenders. However, I actually picked the Los Angeles Lakers because the trajectory that they had, I was questioning, are these guys even going to make the playoffs? And so with their trades, they made a trade for D'Angelo Russell, Malik Beasley, and they got rid of Russell Westbrook. So they were able to shoot threes. Well, now they're able to shoot threes. They were not. They were terrible, and this is going to create a lot of spacing. And then they also added Rui Hachimura, Mo Bamba, and Jared Vanderbilt. And so they're adding a lot of height here, a lot of good role guys. They seem to fix the problems with their trades here, and I'm excited. As long as LeBron is in, which he's hurt right now, but LeBron stays healthy, Anthony Davis stays healthy, then I think that they're going to be good going forward.
Right, and for me, it's the team that traded Kevin Durant to the Suns. It's going to be the Nets. They weren't winning the championship this year. There was no chance at it. Kyrie was the biggest cancer in any locker room in sports. They got him out of there. Then they did what no team would typically do. They traded their superstar, and they got pieces to build around. They now have 4 first-round picks that they didn't have before, and they added Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, Jay Crowder, Dorian Finney-Smith, and Spencer Dinwiddie. I think this team will make the playoffs still, and they'll exit just as the same time they did with KD and Kyrie.
No, see, I really agree with you. I think it was a perfect trade on both sides because the Suns got exactly what they needed, which was one of the best players in the league, one of the best players of all time, and then the Nets got what they needed. They weren't going to the championship with that team. They have a heck of a future to build around now.
Agreed.
Lakers also picked up Wolves legend Jared Vanderbilt. And the Pittsburgh Penguins are continuing their fight for a playoff spot in the East, but to do so, they had to take a 3-game road trip to the West, playing the Ducks, Kings, and Sharks. The group escaped 2-1, but aren't out of the clear just yet as they have to face the Islanders in New York before heading home. Did we see enough good in the road trip to have hope, or are the Penguins doomed? Nate?
Finishing 2-1, it's not the best thing you could ask for, especially losing to one of the worst teams in the league in the Kings at 6-0. But they were able to bounce back against the Sharks and win that game 3-1. So I think that's some good signs moving on throughout the rest of the season and especially on the road trip.
They got 6 out of a possible 10 points on the road trip. Crosby had a heck of a game last night where he got 3 points in the game against the Sharks. For them, they weren't playing very well now. But I don't want to get too ahead of myself. I think it might be time to start flying that Penguins playoff flag, if you know what I'm saying.
Yes, and I do agree with you. And I agree with you, Nate. 2-1 is not the greatest that you could ask for, especially when the loss comes to the Kings. And they kind of got handled, getting beat 6-0. I was just doing some research on that game, and Sidney Crosby was suspended. So all I know is that they just got slapped 6-0 against the worst team And you know, that's all I can say on that.
And the NHL draft is one dominated by two names, Connor Bedard and Adam Fantilli. The pair seemed destined to grace the teams lucky enough to land the first and second picks of the draft. But Fantilli's stock took a hit after he got bumped, and then he cross-checked an MSU player in the back and tempers flared. Sam, should this worry teams enough for him to slip in the draft?
Yes, I do agree that he will end up slipping in the draft. And, I mean, you know, you just can't do it. I know that he was poised to go top 3. You know, it kind of reminds me of like in football when you're talking about Antonio Brown. You know, Antonio Brown was one of the best football players that I'd ever got to watch, you know. And once he started having a lot of on-field issues, off-the-field issues, you know, we see what's happened to Antonio Brown's career and how he's not playing on a team anymore. But, you know, it just got too far. So, you know, I'm just going to say that, yes, he is going to end up slipping in the draft, and he's not going top 3.
Just do me a favor. I want to take a look at your shirt here. Make sure you didn't rip it from reaching so hard. You're comparing one of the biggest rivalry games in hockey to Antonio Brown. Dude, it was a little scuffle. I mean, that's just a little.
I mean, it was
unreal.
not on the magnitude of Antonio Brown.
Yeah,
but
you reached there. All I'm saying is you reached there.
Okay.
That seems a little unreal to me. It was a scuffle. He's still a generational type of player. He's going to be very good. I don't see any chance that he slips.
Yeah, he's not falling out of the top 3. It almost guarantees for me that he has no chance at going 1 anymore, especially with how good Connor Bedard is. But talent and character are both very important in professional athletes. And if you don't have both, you're just not going to be the top player taken. However, talent is still more important than character, so I still think he's going to go in the top 3.
Arguing he has no character is just dumb. I mean, it's a huge rivalry game. I just don't see that, guys.
And the MLB season is just around the corner as the Pittsburgh Pirates gear up for spring training. Given that it's the team's seventh season rebuilding, surely the team's got something to show for it, right? Well, let's take a look at who the panel picked for their most exciting Pirates prospects heading into the 2023 season. Nate, take it away.
For me, it's Luis Ortiz. He's a phenomenal pitcher who's going to be up on the roster within the next year, 2, maybe latest at 3, but he can hit triple digits with his fastball. And during his cup of coffee with the team last year, he looked very impressive, and I just like all the signs he has for what he can do when he's finally on our roster.
You know, I had to go with Endy Rodriguez. He came over in the Joe Musgrove trade, which ended up being the can opener for the whole can of worms when we dumped our entire franchise. But everyone was hating that trade at the time because Joe Musgrove, as you guys know, went on to be a stud. Endy Rodriguez looking like he might be better than anything Joe Musgrove has ever been. Last year, he's a little old for high A ball. He had a 936 OPS, went to AA, got better, and then in AAA with 6 games, got even better. I mean, this kid might be special, guys.
And I'm going to have to go with Tamar Johnson. He was picked 4th in the draft, and I know that he played shortstop most of the time, but he's expected to go to second base, and I'm really excited for what he brings to the table. You know, he's got a 5'10" frame, but he's got a lot of power that can lead to 25-plus home runs annually.
I think he could even hit over 30 to 35. He's got that much power.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
very impressive.
Yeah.
Well, these boys need a water break, and I think Sam needs some stitches for his jacket. So we'll send it to break. But be sure to stick around for Sports Talk in the Burgh favorite Buy or Sell. See you soon.
Every day,
Millions of people are connecting
and even though we're overcoming obstacles,
watching each other's backs,
and banding together.
we should still make an effort.
We should still make an
to
effort.
get to know each other,
on a deeper level.
Father,
cosplayer,
Mentor.
actor.
it's time we take a step forward
It's time we take a step forward.
Come together.
and discover
How accepting our differences
can make us stronger.
Yeah! Sam, Elmo! Oh, hey, Julia. You ready to play band with us? I'm gonna play my clarinet. And Elmo's gonna play his drum.
Drum loud.
Oh, well, you know what to do, Julia.
Julia knows.
With Julia's autism, loud sounds can be too much.
But she still loves to make music. Play band.
Early screening for autism can make a lifetime of difference. Find out more at screenforautism.org.
If you love them enough to crawl into a play place to get them to come down, then surely you'll check nhtsa.gov/the-right seat to make sure they're in the right car seat.
Can I get the now bar, please? $1. Have a good one. Got it.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey.
Let me get a now bar.
Sure. $1.
Appreciate you.
Got it.
Welcome back to Sports Talk in the Burgh. It's time to head over to Wall Street and see what takes those sharks are buying and selling. The Super Bowl has once again stirred up the reffing problem debate, but Commissioner Roger Goodell certainly doesn't want to hear any of it. He said, quote, "I don't think it's ever been better in the league. There are over 42,000 plays in a season. Multiple infractions could occur on any play. Take that out or extrapolate that, that's hundreds, if not millions, of potential fouls. And our officials do an extraordinary job of getting those. And are there mistakes in the context of that? Yes. They're not perfect at officiating, will never be," end quote. Nate, are you buying that there is a ref problem, or is Goodell kind of spitting?
I'm selling this. I agree with Roger Goodell on this. Every sport has their own issues when it comes to officiating, and especially in the NFL, it's more of a judgment call than anything. And so the fans will complain about it 100% of the time, because no matter what, one team is going to get the short end of the stick. And in this situation, it was the Eagles. So they're always going to cause an uproar, but I don't think there's that big of an issue with the NFL here.
Disagreed. I'm buying it. I'm putting all my money on it. I don't care. So going into the playoffs, I did not have this kind of mentality. But then when I watched the Chiefs and Bengals game and how terribly called that was in the fourth quarter, I just said to myself, well, I mean, maybe the refs are rigging this game, or maybe, it's just like how a quarterback has a bad pass and they just miss, I mean, maybe the refs were missing or they were just doing too much. And then they went to the Super Bowl, the Chiefs did. And then again, we see at the end it's decided by another holding penalty. I'm not saying that the Chiefs won because of that, but that's what decided it, and I feel like they have to go and do some kind of investigation on this, because this is just outrageous to me.
See, I'll tell you this. I think I have dirty underwear that are smarter than Roger Goodell, so I just kind of fundamentally disagree with everything he says. And again, here, I'm going to have to buy that there is a reffing problem. Goodell's wrong. So here's the thing. The NFL has the ability to fix this problem. Refs are part-time right now, which means they're not getting benefits, they're not getting full-time training, and if the NFL can change that, put all their sole focus onto NFL refereeing, send them to camps in the offseason, just make them full-time. It's what other leagues do. The MLB does it, and the MLB has gotten better ever since they've done it. I get that it's subjective on the calls that they make, but at least make them better. They have the ability to. It's a multi-billion-dollar organization. They can pay for it, I guarantee.
I've heard enough out of these pros. It's time to head it over to the Bobby Moe Sports. Andy Toole is leading the RMU program to their best season in the Horizon League, starting off 7-9 and on the verge of hosting a playoff game. After losing a heartbreaker at Cleveland State, the Colonials responded with a big win on the road against Purdue-Fort Wayne, potentially saving RMU's hopes of hosting a playoff game. Is that Andy Toole's biggest Horizon League win? Cam, was Sunday some of Toole's best?
Okay, don't get me wrong. It was a big win. They definitely needed that. But I don't think it can be Toole's biggest win. He has one playoff win in the Horizon League so far. I think that's just like de facto best win. You know what I mean? Just without that, the program probably isn't going in a positive direction. But yeah, last year whenever they beat Youngstown State 77-73, I think that was just definitely a better win.
Yeah, I'm selling this. I don't even think this is his best Horizon League win this season. The team came out slow, and as you said, they lost a heartbreaker to Cleveland State, and you would expect them to come out a little faster. It probably was his best second half talking to the team, but overall, it wasn't a great game. For me, I'm taking the Wright State game earlier this year when they won 80-59. They dominated the whole game. They were up 44-36 at halftime. For me, I just don't see how this can be his best win in the Horizon League.
Yes, I agree with both of you guys. I'm going to have to sell this. It was a must win, and they did get the job done, and so I will agree that it has significance. However, is this the most impressive win? I mean, no. You just mentioned that game where they just demolished them.
Against
I
Penn
mean,
State.
yes, and Cam mentioned the playoff win. I would take both of those over this game. Again, like I said, it was a must-win game, and it's important that he won. But I'm going to have to say no. This is not the most impressive win.
Sticking with Tool's squad, the men's basketball season has been a roller coaster, full of winning streaks and losing streaks alike. One thing that hasn't changed, though, is this team's ability to play to their competition's level. Now that the Colonials have a win against Purdue-Fort Wayne, will history repeat with them going on another win streak to take their final 4 games? Nate, will the men's team win out?
I'm buying this. I think they can do it. They play the 2 worst teams in the Horizon League in Green Bay and IUPUI, but then they take on 2 quality teams in Milwaukee and Youngstown State. I think they can play up to the level of competition, and they can find themselves 11-9 going into the Horizon League tournament. They can get the job done.
All right, you're delusional. Okay,
Delusional.
So here's the thing. Good basketball team. I think they're playing better than they were earlier in the season. But, okay, you're right. I definitely agree they're going to get their wins against Green Bay and IUPUI. You said quality teams in Youngstown State and Milwaukee. Understatement. 1 and 2 in the Horizon League this year. Those are good teams, and right now Robert Morris is 8th in the conference. Do you really think that's going to happen?
Milwaukee lost to Green Bay. Anything can happen in this league.
Anything can happen.
anything
I don't
can
disagree.
happen.
I don't
They have
disagree with
losses.
you, but is
They
anything going to
have
happen? Anything going to happen
losses.
twice in a
They're
row?
gonna get 4. They have losses.
No, is
They're
anything
gonna
going to happen
get
twice in a row?
4.
No, you're wrong.
Yeah, so I'm going to have to sell this. I believe that Youngstown State is going to get the best of them. Milwaukee's going to get the best of them. I think that having 3 home wins or 3 home games, is going to help them and help maybe move them to get to 4-0. So I believe that it's possible, but I don't believe that it's going to happen. And Milwaukee, handled them Youngstown State handled them. Milwaukee beat them by 8 home, and so RMU is going to have to beat them this time at home, and I just don't know if that's even going to happen. It's very hard.
Common sense.
It's very hard to win
I
a
don't know how you
D1
guys
basketball
can't
game in
believe
the
in a
first
team.
place.
I can't fathom how anyone cannot have faith in Andy Toole at this point. Heading over to the Diamond, last year the softball team played some incredible ball, good enough to lead them to the championship game of the Horizon League tournament. But after losing a heartbreaker to Oakland, the Colonials look to make it back this year and seal the deal. Sam, do you buy that the softball team will win the Horizon League this time around?
Yes, I am buying that they will win the Horizon League. They finished off, 3rd in the standings last season. They just keep on impressing. So I'm just going to have to say that this season, why not? I'm going to say let's just bring some people back, bring up some freshmen too, and let's go get the job done this time.
See, I think they're going. I'm going to have to buy it. They're going to win. This is a very good team. Finished 3rd in the standings last year. Made it up to the championship game. So technically finished 2nd. They need some players to step up. They lost a couple of big players. I think Dana Vaticus is going to be the pitcher that steps up for them. And then they have a really intriguing storyline to watch with Elena Cuto-Gianni and her stolen base record. She might break the Robert Morris stolen base record as a sophomore. So they got some storylines to watch. Going to be a good team. I think they can do it.
Yeah, unfortunately, I am selling this. Although with their storyline surrounding the season, they were ranked number 2 in the preseason poll behind Oakland, and I do believe Oakland will show why they were ranked number 1 and win the Horizon League this year. They bring back the Horizon League Pitcher of the Year, and I just think she's going to be totally dominant.
If you guys want to hear more about this, shout out to Liner to Left, where me, Nate, and Zach talk about it.
All right, enough of that. My bank account's hurting enough without listening to these goons. Don't go anywhere, though. The gang will give you their final takes as soon as we're back from break.
It's been difficult because I hadn't been able to see my grandchildren.
I can't wait to get back to field trips with my school.
Not having to think about putting on a mask.
I really can't wait to get back to life, really.
I miss all my friends. I miss taking pictures in school.
An expression on someone's face when you do something nice for them.
COVID-19 vaccines are available, and they're the first step to safely getting back to things we miss most. Visit getvaccineanswers.org so you can make an informed decision about COVID-19 vaccines.
Imagine being fired because of who you love. Imagine being denied medical treatment because of who you marry. Imagine being evicted because of who you are. Millions of Americans don't have to imagine this. They have to live it. Because in 30 states, it's legal to discriminate against LGBT people.
It's time to make an informed decision about COVID-19 vaccines. The dangerous new Delta variant is more than twice as contagious as the original virus and can affect anyone. Right now, 9 out of 10 hospitalizations and deaths from COVID are among unvaccinated people. Getting vaccinated might save your life, and there's now an option that's fully approved by the FDA. Learn more at getvaccineanswers.org.
Honorary Forest Ranger Betty White here, lending a hand to my dear friend Smokey Bear, because for years he's only said,
only you can prevent wildfires.
But there's a lot more to say. Like, if you park your car on tall, dry grass, the hot exhaust pipe can start a wildfire. So keep the animals safe, especially the cute shirtless one. Go to SmokeyBear.com to learn more about wildfire prevention.
Welcome back to Sports Talk in the Burgh. It's time for final takes, and we'll head right to Cam. But first, I think Eagles fans should stop listening.
Oh, I've been waiting for this. Philadelphia fans have got to be the most insufferable group of people in all of sports. Obviously, we will get to the most recent example, but first, let me explain myself. If any Philadelphia sports team plays in a big game, people need to hide their cars and cops need to grease the light poles. They lose, they destroy the city. They win, guess what? They still destroy the city. It's nothing short of outrageous. Earlier this year, Philadelphia fans loved to play into the narrative that they were a Cinderella story worthy of every fan's rooting interest. In reality, they were a grossly underperforming juggernaut who was 4th in payroll in the MLB. They weren't a Cinderella story, they just weren't an embarrassment for the first time in years. And now on to the holding call in the Super Bowl. Was it a bad call in my opinion? Yes. Should it have mattered? No. Tell Jalen Hurts not to get strip sacked by Casper. Eagles fans want to complain about the rest, but forget the Miles Sanders catch fumble that they insisted was incomplete, but I guarantee you, if that play happens in the end zone, they would have clamored for it to be a catch. Philadelphia fans, please, for everyone else's sake, be better.
After acquiring Kevin Durant in a blockbuster trade with the Nets, the Phoenix Suns are not just title contenders to me. They already won the NBA Finals. Anywhere KD goes, he performs at a very high level and elevates his teammates. That will be no different in Phoenix. In 2021, the Suns went to the finals and lost to the Milwaukee Bucks in Game 6, with the series going 4-2. Last season, they entered the playoffs as a #1 seed and lost to the Mavericks 4-2 in the Western Conference semifinal. This season, without Durant, they are 4th in the West with a record of 33-27 with Devin Booker, Chris Paul, DeAndre Ayton, and now KD. How can you tell me that the Suns won't go to the NBA Finals? They will win, and for the first time in franchise history, they will win the NBA Finals.
For the first time since 2000, the NBA will have a repeat champion. The Houston Astros will once again win the World Series in 2023, claiming back-to-back titles in their 3rd in the last 7 seasons. This offseason, the team elected to take a more offensive approach as they signed former White Sox slugger Jose Abreu, along with re-signing veteran outfielder Michael Brantley, who had been injured for most of the 2022 season. Putting those two in a lineup with Bregman, Jordan, Altuve, Tucker, and Pena is sure to form one of the best offenses in baseball. The Astros elected to not re-sign veteran ace Justin Verlander. Now the weight will rest on the shoulders of Framber Valdez as the team's ace. Valdez dominated throughout the postseason as he went 25 innings with 1.44 ERA, 33 strikeouts, that is, and a whip of .88. This might be an even more complete team than last year, and they have a great position to win the World Series.